you know what time it is. That's right, it's time for Rivals Assemble, a Marvel Rivals podcast. I am your host, Mark Turcott, and you were tuned into episode 14. Well, don't have a ton of news to get to this week. You might say it's the calm before the storm, like the Johnny Storm. You see what I did there? Yeah, no, but seriously, we do have some good stuff to talk about here tonight, from new skins to a huge Magneto lore dump from Matt. And of course, we got some questions and topics from you guys. So to break it all down with me here, first up, Neil, what's up, dude?
To me, my X-Men. I don't know if that actually fits, but Magneto Day, excited. Really excited to talk about him. I'm excited to be back. You guys did a great job last week.
Yes,
Thanks for putting that out and letting me enjoy it as a listener. I loved it. It was on in the car for the whole family while we were driving back from vacation. So
I love that you subject your family to this podcast. Like, that's every once in a while, like my mom will call me and be like, "Oh, I listened to your podcast last week." It was good. I'm like, "Mom, like, really? I didn't know what you were talking about, but I love listening to it." And I'm like, "Okay, Mom, great." But like the fact that you make your kids, they're strapped into their car seats, have no choice, have to listen to this. I love it.
Honestly, they're pretty excited, but they're like, "Dad, that sounds like you." I'm like, "Yeah, it's me." But they're like, where are you at this episode? I'm like, "Well, we were on water slides and having fun." So
that's great. See, our kids are on different ends of the spectrum now. Your kids love to hear it. They think it's cool. My kids hear it and they're just embarrassed when they hear me like talking about nerd stuff like this. Let's see. And also here joining us, Ken's. What's up, dude?
Hello, I'm back. Yeah, it's all three of us again. So ready for see how long the episode will go. Maybe 2 hours.
Well, hey, with like we said here, with this pretty big Magneto lore dump that Matt gave us.
Just ready for Matt to give us a huge dump.
Yeah. He hates, and we just keep calling it a dump because Matt, just kind of behind the curtain, hates us calling this the lore dump. So we're just going to continue. And if you want to leave us a comment over on Spotify and talk about how much you love Matt's dump, go ahead and do that. It's just, I love it. It's hilarious.
How they get bigger every week.
Yeah, they truly do. This one's huge.
It really is.
It's immaculate.
This is the biggest Matt dump ever. So we are here, guys. Episode 14. Big thank you, as always, here for tuning into the show. However you're tuning in, whether it's through the audio version on iTunes or on Spotify. Thank you guys for tuning in. Again, great way to get in touch with us. Leave us comments over on Spotify. We read every single one of those, and we get a lot of them here kind of throughout the show here. Of course, at the end, we're going to get into some great topics you guys gave us. You can follow us over on Twitter or on Blue Sky at Rivals Assemble. And big what's up to everybody watching us live over on YouTube and on Twitch at Rivals Assemble Pod. And of course, you can always email us at rivalsassemblepod@gmail.com, which, by the way, we have a great email we're going to get to at the end of the show. It's a little bit long, but it's fantastic. So great topic here. So we're going to get to that in a little bit. And we wanted to point out to you, if you guys have any cool clips on any of the social media platforms like Twitter or Blue Sky, tag us in it. Tag us, Rivals Assemble Pod, and we can, Rivals Assemble, and of course we can retweet those out, or I don't know, what do you call it on Blue Sky? Repost, whatever it is, and talk about them. Here, flag it, yeah, talk about it here on the show. So let's talk about our latest poll, fellas. And last week over on Spotify, again, if you listen to the show over on Spotify, you can see we do have a poll every single week. And this week we asked you which character needs a buff. And so we gave you 4 choices: Magneto, Jeff, Mr. Fantastic, and Black Widow. And again, you guys killed it. We got over 100 votes this week, 111 votes total, and coming in with just a little over 50%, with 52.3%, Black Widow getting the win in the poll, with Magneto coming in a second at 23.4 with 26 votes. Now, I will say, this one has been a little divisive because Black Widow, of course, winning the poll. But if you read the comments, because a lot of people, you guys leave us comments kind of following up, I think, on your votes as to why you're voting the way you are. Magneto seemed to be the one that kept getting mentioned, that he needs the buff. He needs the buff. But, hey, here we are with the poll. And no, everybody's saying Black Widow. So what do you guys think of this result?
I don't know. I don't play Black Widow, so I don't have much of an opinion. And Black Widow is also never on my team. So because everyone is either too scared because they hear that she's trash on the internet, or I don't know. So I've like no perception of what Black Widow is like. Other than like the one game I talked about last time where someone absolutely owned everyone on my team and totally carried the whole team. So I know that it's possible. I think that this is a, kind of similar to how we talked about the Jeff situation, like Jeff being like the lowest tier because like a lot of people play Jeff.
Right.
And this is like the exact opposite. It's like no one's playing Black Widow. If you're playing Black Widow, really you're either like you're either really into it or you're expecting pain. So I don't know. Maybe that's why this vote is what it is.
I played Black Widow, I think, for real the first time this week because she was one of the characters you can be to finish one of the events. Just played in a versus AI kind of thing. I was just trying out some new characters, and I did not do that well with her. I think you need to find a good spot, and you have to have good aim for sure. And her ult, I don't know if I understand it or not, but I never got any kills with it.
Yeah. I mean, I think with her, you definitely need to have good positioning, and she's very, I want to say like map determinative. Like you have to be playing her on a map where she fits, right? Where you have that nice sight line because you don't want to, I mean, you can't even really play her mid range. Like you need to be playing kind of back line with her. So you're kind of back there with the strategist, but you have to have that line of sight where someone like, when I think of like Moon Knight is very much about position as well, but not as much, right? Because you could still just kind of be perched up somewhere, drop an Ankh, kind of as long, it's really about the Ankh placement with Moon Knight, where with her, it's really, you got to be able to hit those shots because if you're missing those shots and you don't have that line of sight, it doesn't matter. Like you're just going to be totally just not helping out your team at all.
Yeah.
So
unless you're playing the Dragon soccer game.
Oh, she's great in that. Yeah,
she's great.
That's where she'd absolutely excel for sure.
That's where I guess that's where I've played her the most.
Yeah, because she runs fast. Just get the ball.
She's like the best in that game.
Best.
But I don't know. Again, kind of looking back at it now and kind of seeing these results, like I think a lot of people voted for her to get the buff because of that, because of more the difficulty of how she plays. And so I don't know, like, what is the buff? Giving her like auto aim? Like that's not going to really be a buff, right?
Everyone's playing her.
Totally changing the kit, right? Yeah. So I would probably say I think it is Magneto. I think is the one that really truly does deserve the buff. But hey.
But what does Magneto need? I mean, I think that his ultimate needs a buff for sure. But I played a lot of Magneto this week and had some really good games with him. The ult, I think it just has to be timed right. You got to wait until the last second, and you need to target someone that is need to be a bit low in health. But I don't know what I would change much about him.
Yeah,
to be honest.
Yeah, he just the fact that it overloads really hurts. Right, like if you don't throw it enough, then
I didn't even know
goes
that.
away. Yeah, but it's a skill thing, it's a skill issue. So a lot of practice, know what's going on, but you can suck up, an Iron Man ult with it, right? But it'll blow up your ult. It'll just kind of like even it out. But you just have to know to throw it before it implodes on itself.
Yeah, I haven't played him. I think enough like lately. Like he was one I played a lot in the alpha and even the beta, but like really even since launch, I've only played him just a handful of times just because I've had more fun playing some of the other vanguards that are in the game. And it just, for some reason, his shield, like compared to Doctor Strange's shield, and I could be totally wrong with this, and I mean someone can maybe clarify it in the chat, but like, what is the health of his shield compared to Strange's?
Infinite. It's timed. It absorbs everything over a certain amount of time.
Okay.
And then you have to wait for it to recharge.
It's it's an ability that's just kind of.
I don't like that. I just don't like. I'd rather use, if I'm going to pop a shield up, I want Strange. Where even though like that has the health on it, I feel like by putting it away, I can get it to heal up enough, and I can use it like off and on that I almost always have it available.
Yeah, I find myself not using the big shield as much as the bubbles, you know, and you kind of got to combo the shield with the bubbles to give yourself a bit more survivability.
Yeah.
Yep. So there you go. But Black Widow winning the vote. So we got a new poll for this week. We're going to dive into the maps. So this week we're asking you guys, which is the best domination map? So we got a couple choices here. We have, of course, the Yggsgard Royal Palace map, the Intergalactic Empire of Wakanda, the Burning T'Challa, and the Hydra Charterist Base, Hell's Heaven. So we're going to put those three up there. You guys let us know which is the best domination map. And as the weeks roll on, we'll kind of go through each of the different types of maps, and then we'll wrap it up kind of like we did with the best characters, and just put a best map overall. And hey, by that point, we'll probably have the Central Park map as well. So that'll probably get thrown in the mix.
What is that going to be?
I think it's a domination map, dude. I think because
we might throw it in as an extra one.
Yeah, so we'll see.
So domination is neutral control point.
Control point, right? Correct. Yep. Yeah, okay. So all the control point maps. We did get an email this week too that I kind of want to read here right now. This one came to us from Wolf Hands, and he said, "Hey guys, love the show. This is my first hero shooter, and it's completely taken over my spare time and sleeping hours. I'd love a segment on the show that recaps your week in the games, rankings, highlights, who you're manning, who you've been trying out." He said, "I've loved Adam Warlock for all of Season 0, but now I have 5 or 6 characters that I'm comfortable with and a completely different main in Namor. How people gravitate to certain characters and classes is interesting to me. I'd be interested in hearing that from you guys." So, Wolf fans, we're going to do that. We're going to do a little segment here, maybe start adding this to the start of the show of just our week in game. So, I don't know who wants to go first. Somebody who was just saying they were playing Black Widow a bunch this week. Or didn't
I did.
Yeah.
So my week in the game, I guess my couple weeks.
That's right.
It was a lot about finishing up the events. So that got me to try out some new characters. So in order to do that and not let my team down, I did a lot of verse AI. So I tried out Black Widow, as I said, Spider-Man. I'm really trying to get good with him, but it's not working out. I think I left that in the note last week. I also tried Iron Fist after playing the soccer. I felt like I could be Iron Fist, but I cannot be Iron Fist. I just cannot survive anything, and even against the AI, my stats were terrible. So I'll stay away from that for now. So I enjoyed playing some of those. Got my AI games in. I also played with some friends the other night. Played some AI games because it was their first time they're playing. And I know this was mentioned before, how people are drawn to Jeff. So my friend, she is her first time playing. She's like, "There's a little shark guy. I'm going to pick him."
I knew it.
I'm like, yeah. I'm like, okay. Yep. So I had to play Groot so she could jump on my shoulder. And so we did some of that. So that was a lot of fun. I did a couple comp matches, 1-1. I had a great game with Hulk that felt really good, and especially if you get some new cosmetics with the new movie coming out, I might be pushing for him the next little bit.
Nice.
What about you,
Kenz? What'd you do this week?
I focused a lot on some of the battle pass missions too. I had one where I think like it was like get damage, assists, and more damage, I think, but like Scarlet Witch was like an option for like all of those. And so it was like basically play a bunch of games of Scarlet Witch and you're going to complete 4 of these things.
Nice.
So I played a lot of Scarlet Witch this week, which I haven't played since the beta.
How do you feel?
So it was honestly pretty great.
Yeah,
she's good, man.
Yeah, I got MVP with her a couple times. Nice. It wasn't very difficult. I would like try to like backline with her, like just kind of sneak around, and they just wouldn't see me there. And I was playing quick play, so it's it may or not be bots, I don't know. But I was annihilating people with her. Awesome. It was a lot of fun. And nice. Some other like of the quests that got me into playing another hero was I played a lot of Adam Warlock this week because I was trying to get some healing and some assists. And Adam Warlock is he can carry a team like as a like damage dealer.
Yeah, man.
Right. I was just like getting tons of eliminations with Adam Warlock. I mean, he's definitely got the range and a good amount of damage. He has that charge up ability. And then his healing seems like okay. He to me he seems kind of like more of like he's more of a damage dealer than a healer.
Right. I mean, dude,
I also have no idea how to play him.
He's kind of like Mantis in that case, where it's like you can do a lot of damage as a strategist with like the two of them are just great.
Is it mostly his charge up multi-shot kind of thing that you do the damage with, or is it just his basic attack?
No, I just use the basic attack, and then if I have someone, if I've got someone that's in like my, because it's that attack seems to be more of like mid range or short range, so I'll kind of wait till they're close to me, and then I'll kind of do like the big charge up, and
nice.
go. But if they're like diving me, which happened a lot, but Yeah, and then like his like cocoon ability is awesome of just kind of being able to live, basically get like a second life, and having the res. Like I was just like, man, I was really digging Warlock this week.
Nice.
But I played some competitive. I had a rough time in competitive this week, like very, very, very rough. I think I made it to silver 2 at one point, and now I'm back down to gold 3. It was just it was like I would play. It was like the last thing I would do every night because I'm like, all right, I'm gonna warm up and I'm gonna like play some other games. And by the time I was kind of tired, and I was not playing well. And neither was my team. So I was well deserved to go down. But yeah, rough stint of competitive matches this week.
I think I only did just a handful this week, so I'm still sitting. I think I'm literally 2 points away from bronze 1 because I literally have only played maybe like
that's what
6
I meant.
or
Bronze
7
1, not
matches.
bronze 3. Yeah, bronze 3 would be.
I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna get to the gold. Yeah, I just still haven't had the I don't know, just the mindset for it right now. But this week for me was all about Venom. Dude, I played
nice.
I was doing my daily missions, but as soon as I was done with my daily missions for the battle pass, it was just like Venom, to the point where I blame Ken's for a second skin. Now I ended up buying the Venom Space Knight skin.
Nice.
And part of this was because Ken's brought up the point that his Thor skin, the Donny Cates Thor skin, he bought because you don't see a lot of people with it. And I was like, you know what? You're right. I don't think I've ever seen the Venom Space Knight ever in a match. So I'm like, you know what? I'm buying it.
Mark is really easy to manipulate into making purchases because if he's like on the fence, all you have to do is say one positive thing about the thing that he wants, and then he's just gonna buy it. So that's not very hard.
I mean,
he dishes it out pretty well too. He's made me buy a whole bunch of stuff.
I made you buy tons of stuff.
No, I wanted.
But I had the credits, so it's like, I'm not really buying it. But it's cool, obviously the skin looks great. You get the nameplate. The MVP looks awesome, where he has a big like scythe with his hand. I like the emote.
Does his ult change at all?
No, still the same. No. Yeah, just looks.
I think that's a great skin. I don't think I've seen it used outside of just looking at the videos or whatever when we had those. And I was really excited to see that. It was one of the first announced skins too.
Mm-hmm. It was, yeah, that and the anti-venom. I think that was it. Gamescom or something like that. They revealed them both. And then that led me to do exactly what they want us to do. Is I read the first 6 issues of Venom Space Knight, Marvel Unlimited, which I highly recommend. It is, of course, it's Flash Thompson, which made me think: is this the only skin in the game right now that is technically a different character than, I guess, the original character in the game? So we have Eddie Brock Venom, but the Space Knight Venom is Flash Thompson. It is not Eddie Brock.
Yeah, I'm thinking
nobody else is like that in the game.
I think so. Yeah,
voice
they could
lines
do
the same,
more of that for sure, but
well, we'll see if the movie skin is Falcon as Captain America.
Yeah, Sam Wilson or
also Red Hulk too is not Bruce Banner, so that would be another. That would be another one.
Yeah, it's Indiana Jones, right?
It's Indiana Jones, yes, correct. Or Han Solo, yep. Which, speaking of Han Solo, though, that's what I was going to say, is the Space Knight Venom book is like a mix of, it's Venom mixed with Star Wars, and he just goes on this adventure through space, and it's great. So I highly recommend that if you're looking for just something interesting to read, a fun read. That's where it's at. It's good. Venom Space Knight.
Yeah, I didn't realize that Space Venom was Flash Thompson.
Yeah,
didn't know that.
Yep. He joins the Guardians and then goes off on his own and becomes Space Knight. So
awesome.
Yeah. Well, there you go. There's our week in game. So let's move on here to the news segment that we call the Not So Daily Bugle News.
J. Jonah Jameson here.
All right, guys. Well, I don't think a week could go by in this game without us saying, hey, there's new skins. They announced new skins for the game. So that's right. We have some new skins revealed for the game. And I want to say, was it last week we had the question about more MCU skins coming? And I think we mentioned the Infinity War. And here you go. We have Captain America, Avengers Infinity War entering the rival battlefield. What do you guys think of this skin, man? I think it looks amazing. It's awesome.
It's one of my favorite. I have not really been super into the MCU skins in terms of like I want to buy that, because to me, like I like the new stuff. Like I like to see, the new art, or kind of the way that they do like another kind of like take on a comic series. Like I've seen the MCU for years now, but this one is really cool.
It looks so good.
I really like this one.
It looks so great. I mean, it looks literally just right out of the movie. It's fantastic. The MVP screen, it's him running across like the field of Wakanda. You see him like jump over a log. I mean, it's awesome.
The way they do the shields is like he has the two little mini shields, because he doesn't have. It's like so good.
Yep. So the way they phrase it is they say the shield of bravery returns, evacuate the city, engage all defenses, and get this man a shield. Captain America's heroic costume, inspired by Marvel Studios' Avengers Infinity War, combines enduring courage with a sleek, battle-ready design. Be ready to face any threat with the man out of time. Now, these are available right now. So if you're tuned in live here to the show and you've been wanting this, you can get it right now. It's available. Or, of course, when you listen to the podcast, it's out there. I don't know what the prices are on these. I would assume they're probably falling in line with the other ones.
Yeah. Have you seen the emote? Like the emote that comes with the skin, where it's like the Infinity Gauntlet pushing down on him, and he's like holding it back.
Oh man, I have not, Ken. Did you have to tell me that?
I'm just saying what's. Yeah.
You know what? I haven't seen anyone in the game use this skin before. So
right, yeah,
you should
probably buy it
because it wasn't available till right now. Come on, man.
Oh, okay.
But I will say, for me, with this one is I already own the whatever Eagle, Falcon, whatever one? That Cap skin is. So as much as I like this skin, like I already have that skin. So I don't think I'll be purchasing this one. I don't.
Yeah, you will.
No, I won't. No, I won't. No, Matt will. I won't. No, I don't think this one is.
This just reminds me I need to rewatch this movie because it does not look familiar to me at all. And what is this trident thing that he's got?
That I don't get. What, like, is it when he's fighting one of Thanos' dudes? Like it almost looks like Namor's trident, but it's not. I think it's one of I can't think of his name, but the people that are on Thanos' side. I think that's what it is. At one point he gets that when they're battling with him and Black Widow and they're kind of fighting on the streets. I think might be what that's from, but it's pretty cool, man. And the little clip they put up on Twitter. Let's see. We have one other skin that's coming, and actually, Danny Koo, of course, the game director for Marvel Studios, put out that it is Luna Snow's 7th anniversary right now, and that they have put out the Mireille 2099 costume for her. And he says, Penny told me that Seoul 2099 has been an astounding transformation. The high-tech futuristic cityscape is beyond words, but amidst it all, the love for music stands strong. Step into the future with Luna Snow's 2099 costume, where innovation meets timeless rhythm. Dominate the stage in the battlefield with her dazzling look, blending tech, style, and starlight charisma. So, and this one's pretty sweet, man. I will say, like, this is very, very cool skin. Like, I don't play Luna, but, like, this one makes me almost want to play Luna with this skin. Like, if this was her default skin, I think I'd rather play her.
It's like instead of ice, it's ribbons kind of thing.
Yeah, right? It's cool.
It's to me, it's like if sound was physical, she's like like
little music notes follow her when she's skating along there. So I think that's pretty wicked awesome.
She's like female Lucio in this. Maybe we should get the headphones on. She's a DJ.
Well, I don't know if it's her her emote or what, but she pulls out a full turntable.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet.
I think that's an emote. And she's like breaking it down.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool.
Headphones on, ready to go.
So again,
this is very cool.
Available now if you're interested in picking that up. Now, her 7th anniversary, she was first in, what was that game Matt always plays?
Future Fight?
Yes, Future Fight. So,
which is like a ARPG kind of thing?
Yeah, mobile ARPG. So, for those that I guess knew her before the game, I knew nothing about her until the game. I remember like she was one of the first characters I think they showed for the game, and I was like, "Who is
this
that?"
2099 skin is that in that game, or is this a new look for her completely?
I don't know. I mean, I think maybe they're falling in line because of the storyline. Because it mentions when what they put up about how Penny told me that Soul 2099 has been an astounding or has seen an astounding transformation. So I think it's like maybe she's either gone
inspired.
to 2099 to see that in in Tokyo or Seoul. But
Makes sense.
Yeah, it's falling in line with that. So her and Penny partying in 2099, gonna party like it's I'm sorry, not 1999. Party like it's 2099, right?
What would those skins look like?
The 1999
Marvel
ones?
1999, the 1900s.
Big baggy Jenko jeans with a chain hanging down for your wallet.
Yes,
awesome.
please.
Cargo pants.
Bring it back.
Yes. Let's see. We also had with these new skins and costumes earlier today, a new patch came out for the game. This is patch 20250.207. Say that as fast as you can.
Repeating, of course.
But nothing major here. A lot of it just seems to be a lot of bug fixes.
Yeah.
People were getting stuck indoors. Looks like some reloads for Loki. So nothing, in terms of like actual hero damage numbers or anything flying off like that. I'm assuming we're probably going to get that more with the mid-season patch.
Sure, they'll be balanced there. Yeah, the big thing with this one is the skins, and then just bug fixes. So nothing.
I have to say, I really enjoyed reading these. They put some nice. Like I'll just read one here. Venom's wild swing fixed an issue where Venom's swing would occasionally fail to end properly. Now he'll always land with style. So they have like a little thing at the end, right?
Oh, I didn't even really read number
I
2.
honestly did not read it that closely.
Bulletproof rubber addressed a bug where reflexive rubber ability could sometimes fail to end correctly. He's back to being as fantastic as ever.
Yeah, number 2,
very good.
Venom's ultimate devourer resolved a problem where pressing devour as soon as he lands after unleashing Feast of the Abyss would sometimes deal no damage or knockback. Venom's hunger will now be fully satisfied. Wow. Guan, bring
that
it.
Is impressive. Honestly,
it's pretty good. It's good.
Give this AI a raise.
Not only is the NetEase team just nailing the game in general, but they're nailing the patch notes.
Yeah,
wow.
This it was fun to read.
Who makes the patch notes entertaining? That is
Jarvis.
Great.
Well, now I'll read them all the way because I said that I read through it and I'm like, nah, there's nothing interesting. And Neil's like, hey, did you notice this little thing at the end of every single thing that's on
hilarious,
there?
dude.
No, not at all.
Oh, man. Let's see. We actually had today, because they must have heard that we didn't have a lot to talk about this week. They had a interview over on the Unreal Engine website. And they had an interview with who is this guy? He was somebody from the Marvel Rivals team. And he's collaborating. Sorry. So regardless, I'm sorry. He was the lead technical designer, Ruan Wakang, I guess.
There you go.
Say his name.
Yep.
Talking about them using Unreal 5 or just the Unreal Engine in general, I should say, for Marvel Rivals. And you can read through it. I'll actually put a link. I'll put it in the show notes. It is a good read, and they talk about how they started with the game originally on Unreal 4, and then, of course, I think back in 2019, with the transition to Unreal 5, they found that it just made things a lot easier. Like the whole destructible environments in that didn't work as well with 4 and weren't as seamless. And kind of the big thing, and we've all kind of thought this, but one of the big features that they were able to utilize with Unreal 5 is Doctor Strange's portals.
Yes.
So without Unreal, they really would have had some issues, I think, with trying to get those portals working. So this really made it a lot seamless for them to do that. So did you guys read through this? Did you find anything, I don't know, kind of interesting? Neil, did you find any little tidbits down in there?
This one I didn't read, but I did see the cover art, and it has Hulk and kind of giving the game energy to Iron Man, and it just made me think like the effects in this game along with the art, it just make everything look so good. And I need to use this to have my new desktop background right now is what I'm gonna do.
That one is one of my favorite images that they've put out.
It
just looks so clean, but that's what the game looks like. So
it does.
It's really good. I actually pulled up a list a second ago because I wanted to see what games that I've been playing in Unreal 5, and I really haven't played. This is one of the only games that I've played in Unreal 5, other than Hellblade 2, I think, which is incredible. So they're really pushing it with this, and it's cool to see how, like, with the portals. The portals are that's incredible tech. So using that using it in a multiplayer game, like in a
Right.
competitive, like, because that's
Impressive.
something that you would be able to see and done pretty well in like a single player experience, but to have that to be streamlined in a, in a game that people are doing it all the time, I don't know. It always blows my mind with the portals, but yeah, it's awesome.
They mentioned the web slinging too for like Spider-Man and Venom.
Mm-hmm.
More specifically Spider-Man, and just how they were able to utilize that, which is great.
Also, just the destruction, like the map destruction and stuff, is a big for it to be, torn down and rebuilt, and things like that. It's, all that's a really big deal.
I'm looking at this now. One, it's teaching me how I should be playing Spider-Man. They've got this little GIF on the website here. That. But his costume it's like a spider punk. Is this in the game right now?
I think so.
I don't think I've ever seen it. It looks
awesome.
It
was in the beta for sure.
It was in the beta. Oh, no, right now I don't think Spider-Punk is in the game, right? It's just the Baghead Spider-Man. I could be wrong.
I got the black suit one they gave for free. And then they just put out the Spider-Man 2 one as well. But this one looks great.
Yep.
Looks good.
So go read the article if you're interested, and especially if you're in a game design or like kind of are just interested in the tech behind games. It really is a good read. And again, I'll put that in the show notes. It was over on UnrealEngine.com, and you could probably just even Google that Rivals interview, and you'll find it because it is pretty neat to check out. Now we got another little topic, kind of like we did last week with just Overwatch and them kind of having some new game modes and things like that going to be announced. Well, it was announced this week that another free-to-play competitive game, let's put it that way, was actually shutting down and was being shuttered. And that game, of course, was Multiverses. So if you're not familiar with this game, this was essentially who was this? Warner Brothers.
Yeah,
kind of taking all of their different multiverses and combining it into this Smash Brothers type game. So you had like Batman, Scooby-Doo, Game of Thrones. Was Jason Voorhees in there too? Like I forget.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of just a bunch of random characters thrown in there. Was fun. Came out. They ended up, I think, what was it, in a beta, and like an open beta, and then they closed it. Actually moved it to Unreal 5 is actually what they did. They took it from Unreal 4 to Unreal 5, relaunched it. The player base wasn't happy. It seemed like the game was kind of slowed down, didn't play like it used to. And so now they've decided to just straight up shutter the game. We mentioned this because, when you look at all these free-to-play games and them charging for money, there always needs to be kind of a perfect balance. So one of the gripes, or a lot of the gripes, I should say, from the community with this was that they had overpriced cosmetics and an overpriced battle pass. You had to grind to unlock all the characters. The added characters that no one cared about in the game. There was terrible balancing. The developers kept breaking promises that were thrown out there. And then, of course, like I said, they even made the game slower and like changed the core gameplay mechanics of the game when they kind of re-released it. That basically made the game not fun. So I mentioned this because looking at what has happened so far with Rivals, I mean, I would say none of the warning signs for them doing any of this seems to be there. So I don't know. What do you guys think just kind of where Rivals stands right now in terms of just free-to-play games, looking at, how you've had these failed games like this? I don't know. What do you guys think? Just kind of a little topic.
I think a big mistake of Multiverses is not having the characters be free. I think that was whenever we were in the alpha and beta for Rivals, we didn't know exactly what the monetization was going to be like for this game. And that was a big concern that I had was like, are we going to have to pay for, new heroes? And that really would have sucked. And so the fact that they are, they're monetizing with the battle pass, they're putting out great skins that are legitimate works of art. And, they're just letting the game be the game. And like, it's just the idea of like, you put out a great product and I think the money will come.
Right.
And I think that's what Rivals has done versus some of these other kind of business plans for how they're going to keep trying to, I don't know. It just doesn't, I don't think it works that way.
Yeah. And it was like from day one, we mentioned that Gamescom where they showed the Venom skins. I think that's where it was that they announced every hero will be free.
Right.
And I think that's just the absolute way to go. Like if you want a game to be competitive, and I say fair, and I don't even know if that's the right word to say it, but like let all the heroes just be free, let everybody have access to them. And if your game is fun and people enjoy playing it, they're gonna want to spend money on the game. Like they're gonna want to buy those skins.
It's as simple as that.
Yeah. Like they're gonna invest in the game itself, and as far as what I can see, it seems to be happening with Rivals. I mean, the number of people that bought that Season 0 Battle Pass that probably didn't think about it like going in that they were going to spend any money on that game at all that ended up buying it. I'm sure I would love to know that number, because I'm sure there were a lot of folks that just went and was like, oh, let me check this game out. And then before they knew it, they were just loving the game, and they're probably still playing it now.
I mean, I was that exact person. I went into this game with the thought of, I'm not going to buy anything. Like because I personally don't like the practice of how that works. I would much rather be like, give me a $60 game. I'll pay you that money, and then if we want to do more later, then we'll see. Versus the free to play, and then maybe you'll get something from me, maybe you won't. But I didn't buy the battle pass at first, and I had such a great time with the game that I did, and then I bought a skin, and now I bought this battle pass, and I'll probably buy another skin. And so it's like it's because I'm enjoying it. Like it's a great time, and I want that stuff. So
I don't know. You got any thoughts on this?
I think obviously they're doing a great job, and gameplay was first, and they've got, it seems like an army behind this thing. They've got NetEase money, they've got Disney money behind it, so everybody is very invested in making this game good, and they did it all right with the promotion leading up to it. They're putting out new stuff for it all the time. They've got new costumes every week, every 2 weeks. They're hitting up with new events. They've got new game modes with the shark and the football,
with the shark and the football, and
and it's they're going hard with it. And these events, I guess PSA, you only have today to finish up this Daily Bugle events to get the Thor skin, and the story, and
don't lose your Thor skin.
I'm gonna read through that again because there was some pretty cool story bits in there. Anyway, I don't know exactly what Multiverses was doing, but they're doing a great job with this game for sure.
Yeah. So just a little topic, I think Matt kind of threw that our way, and again, just it's NetEase so far, man. They're just doing a great job with Rivals. And,
one question I have, I don't know if it was mentioned anywhere. Are they giving everyone their money back that bought?
Probably not.
Skins?
That I don't know.
Someone did that recently, though, right? They were shutting down a game and they gave everybody's money back.
Concord, I think you were able to get your money back if you bought it.
But that game barely existed.
Dude, I will tell you though, one of the best games that ever did this was Paragon. So years ago, Paragon, if you guys are familiar, it's now predecessor. It's out there. Paragon was a MOBA, third-person MOBA from Epic. And this was like right before Fortnite exploded. It ran on Unreal 4, so it was kind of their showpiece for the game. And believe it or not, I did a podcast about that. We spent probably like $150 in game when the game went belly up, when they decided to shut it down. And again, this was just because basically Fortnite exploded to what it is. They gave everybody all the money back as long as you had your receipt. So I received a PayPal payment of I think it was $150 from Epic for the money I spent in the game. So they, of course, could afford to do it because Fortnite had just was
okay. So it was after
so
Fortnite.
Big. Yeah, I mean, Fortnite was out and it had been out probably maybe 6 months at that point. And they were like, okay, we're done. And it might not even been 6 months. It was when because originally, remember, Fortnite was Save the World, and then they just kind of threw in we're gonna do this battle royale and see what happened, and then it just went nuts. And so they shuttered Paragon.
Well, how long was Paragon out for?
Little over a year, maybe year and a half.
That's it, eh?
I want to say, it wasn't that long. I mean, it was in like a alpha and then a beta, and then the game is great, and even predecessor. If you want to play a pretty cool MOBA, it's great. Lots of fun, but but I think it was cool the way they handled that, because it was like, hey, we know we're going belly up. We just want to make sure we're going to take care of all the players so that they were hoping people would just spend the money in Fortnite. It's probably what it was, but Yeah, it was kind of cool they did that. So, and you could even do it for physical copies, because I remember like part of that was they sold physical copies of Paragon, even though the game wasn't there. It came with like a
code.
a $60 card for in-game currency or whatever it was. And when the game shuttered, you could go buy the discs for like $10. So like that's what I did. So you went, you got all this money or whatever. But yeah, so I don't know. So hopefully at least the multiverse people are doing right by the community. I don't know if they are, but I don't know. It's kind of neat. Okay, well, let's move on here to our lore segment, our big Magneto lore dump coming up that we call the Cerebro Files. All right, well, as promised here, again, Matt could not be here with us today. However, he did definitely bring some Magneto lore for you. So sit back, relax for this one. Like I said, it's about 17 and a half minutes long, but there's some good stuff in here because Magneto is epic. So here we go, Matt. Take it away, my friend.
What is up, rivals? It is Matt back with another lore haul. I think that's what I'm going to call this. A lore something. I'm not sure. Yes, I will eventually be back with the boys talking to you live or semi-live or however. But for now, we are confined to this, relationship where I'm just talking at you. But feel free to engage. Hit me up on social media, either through the Rivals accounts, or you can find me at GG's Matt. And we can talk about comics and all the storylines that you want to hear about. But this week, we are deep diving into the master of magnetism. Yes, Magneto. And guys, I'm going to be real with you. Magneto's one of my favorite characters. He's super controversial, but he has a fantastic comics history. Not only comics, but in prose novels and animation, in the movies. Such a rich character. And throughout the years, there have been a lot of attempts to either change or redefine his backstory, to clear it up, to try and make the character, I guess, more aligned with like a vision of what Marvel wants it to have. So I'll try and give you the clearest timeline of where we stand now. So Magneto's real name is... Did you say something? And I'm just waiting to hear what name you said. Because if you didn't say Max Eisenhart, then you would be incorrect. Yeah, Max Eisenhart is Magneto's true name. This wasn't clarified until much later in comics history, after he was a well-established character. He grew up as a German Jew during the Second World War, where his family was killed during the Holocaust. His mutant powers activated and saved him from the deluge of bullets that killed his family. And he was found among their bodies, basically. I think Magneto is a very important character as well, because it forces us to examine a lot of the true gritty history of the world. And I think it lends itself well to the X-Men corner of Marvel, because the X-Men the titles have always been there to spark a conversation about the world, about politics, about the way we as humans are treating each other. So some very important issues going on here. In the comics, Magneto eventually is taken captive as a teenager. He is forced to work in the Auschwitz concentration camp, where one of his childhood friends, Magda, is also. Her family is sadly killed, but they are able to escape from the concentration camp together. After the war, they have a child together, Anya. But if you've seen the X-Men movies, particularly where Magneto is portrayed by Michael Fassbender, they do a pretty faithful, inspired by retelling of his early days. If you remember the scene where he's in the woods with his daughter, and the soldiers come, and no one really makes it out except Magneto. In the comics, it's a little different. The home catches on fire, and Magneto takes out all of the soldiers who are around, and his now wife, Magda, is the only one who survives that. And scared at what he may become, scared at what she's witnessed, she runs away. And this sends Magneto on kind of a different path of trajectory. Up until now, he'd hid his mutant powers, used them unknowingly in some situations, but now he is fully embracing them. That is when he goes through some illegal channels to construct a new identity and presents the name Eric Magnus Lensher, which is a much more commonly known name for him in the comics. And at different points in the comic history, he is almost like the Punisher for mutants, if that makes sense. So he is going out and taking care of people who are either making life difficult for mutants, who have hunted down mutants. He's kind of like the equalizer in that measure. At one point in the comics, he works for a U.S. government organization hunting down these people, but turns on them as well. A lot of comics pop in and out of his history, kind of like how, if you remember, talked about Symbiote Spider-Man, how Marvel is pulling some more storylines from that smaller moment in Spider-Man history. That's what we see a lot with Magneto. They tend to insert events into his life that work with what is going on. Magneto does, the Magneto family tree is, one, contentious and ever-changing, but two, another growing family tree in the Marvel Universe. So, a lot of people have asked to talk about Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver and things like that, but I hate to tell you, as of now, to my knowledge, the last comics that I had read, although it was originally presented that Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver were the children of Magneto through some convoluted means, that was retconned nearly a decade ago, along with the fact that Wanda and Pietro, Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, aren't really mutants. And that is still one of those things that's up in the air. Some writers don't want to touch it because it's such a contentious subject. But they are, in all forms and purposes, chosen family, which has been acknowledged in many of the recent X-Men books, especially among Wanda and Magneto. Some of the best comic events in Marvel history involve Magneto and the X-Men, and I feel like you need to do the reading, and you don't need to hear me talk about much of his life. So let me give you some of my greatest hits for Magneto. First off, the Age of Apocalypse event, where the world is re-envisioned with Apocalypse helming it. Magneto it's kind of like this post-apocalyptic, forgive the pun, dystopian future where Magneto is heading the X-Men, Rogue is at his side, and we get some really cool redesigns of characters, and, kind of like a what if you will. And that was a whole line and a whole event, and I just recommend that you read it. If you go on Marvel Unlimited, you can just literally type in Age of Apocalypse and so many things will pop up for you. And there's the Onslaught event in comics history, and that is where trying to condense these things into it's like trying to talk to somebody and whittle down what you know. The Onslaught event is when basically Professor Xavier used his powers to shut down Magneto's mind during this fight between the X-Men and Magneto's acolytes, his followers. And it basically put him in a coma. And while he was in that coma, the darkest parts of Magneto's mind basically escaped into Charles Xavier's mind. And they merged along with Xavier's darker tendencies and darker personality traits, which we see some of in the more recent X-Men books, especially the Krakoa books. And they became this separate persona. And if you've ever seen this imposing figure that looks like a huge Magneto, like buff Magneto in this armor with like a blacked out face space in the helmet, that's Onslaught. A big, cool villain that the X-Men fought. Very good event in comics. As far as other Magneto storylines, there is the Magneto Testament, which was its own book, about 5 issues, I believe. And this is a more modern exploration of Magneto's early days. So the hard history of World War II applied to the early days of Magneto's life. There is the original Trial of Magneto, which was started in Uncanny X-Men number 200. And Magneto is on trial while terrorists are carrying out this attack in the names of the X-Men. And there's some bait and switch about who the real attackers really are. But it turns out it's all a distraction so that people could know where Magneto is, corner him, attack him, and try to kill him. This sees Magneto kind of forcefully become the hero of the day. There's also the more recent Trial of Magneto, which happened just a few years ago during the Krakoa era, where the Scarlet Witch is murdered at the Hellfire Gala, and Magneto is suspect number 1. A very good mystery. Turns out it's not a super lot about Magneto, more about the Scarlet Witch, but some good misdirects and some very interesting implications for all of mutant kind in that book. There is the Magneto War, which is an event in Uncanny X-Men, the 300s, if you will. This is in X-Men Volume 2. I think it's in the 80s. Basically, Magneto, one of his big driving purposes is protecting mutant kind, protecting this minority group. And to do that throughout different points in the comics, most successfully we've seen them establish Krakoa as, well, rest in peace Krakoa, as a haven for mutants. But we've also had Utopia. We've also had Genosha. These failed attempts, if you will. But during the Magneto War, this is him basically saying, I will stop at nothing to protect mutants, even if that means I have to kill other people. So he very much, he lets loose. When Magneto, that's a common thread amongst Magneto books. When he lets loose, he's not playing. There is Magneto, not a hero. And this is another good mystery. I love mystery books. So over the years, Magneto swings from villain to kind of anti-hero territory. And in this book, basically, he is caught on video killing members of an anti-mutant group. And think about how that would resonate in the world today. You see the video on TV, you see the video on social media. But is this really what happened? If it isn't, is someone trying to set Magneto up? If it is Magneto going against all these good things he's done to redeem his name and redeem mutant kind's name? So some good, not cool, but real world implications. A book that makes the reader think. There's Planet X from the new X-Men line of comics. That was the black and yellow uniforms, if you remember those, where the comics introduced Cassandra Nova. And it's during this arc that, spoiler alert, if you don't want to hear it, Magneto is revealed. He's thought dead for a long time, but in actuality, he's been posing as Zorn, a trusted friend of the X-Men. And it is a reveal that had huge repercussions in the book at the time. For a long time, we thought Magneto was truly dead, but he wasn't. Another good story, and I know I'm going on long, so I'll try and wrap it up. God loves, man kills. If you've seen X2, X-Men United, similar story. William Stryker, he wants to rid the world of mutants. He teams up with the X-Men after 2 mutant children are killed. And so this is one of those times where he's like, for the good of all mutant kind, I will become the anti-hero. I know that this is bigger than myself. There are more important things than what I want right now. And then some single issue stories. Magneto in the Savage Land. This is Uncanny X-Men number 274. So there is someone in the Savage Land basically manipulating the Earth's magnetic field, which is all Magneto's powers, right? And so he goes to the Savage Land to investigate, to see what's going on. He takes Rogue with him. This is a Chris Claremont book, if you have any qualms about reading it, so you know it's going to be good. And actually, there's a series currently going on right now, Rogue in the Savage Land, which is another, basically, let's take this one moment and dive into it deeper. So it further examines this, one issue from years and years ago with some pretty sick cover art, mind you. And then another one, Fatal Attractions, Dreams Fade. This is X-Men number 25. And this is famously the issue where Magneto rips the entire adamantium skeleton out of Wolverine's body, leaving him basically nearly dead. Huge impacts on the X-Men books, but again, the shock factor of him actually doing this. One of the big questions people ask over the years is, why doesn't he just do it? Well, he did it. And that's the issue. Also, and finding my notes here, in the Ultimate Universe, the original Ultimate Universe, not the relaunch that we're in right now, Ultimatum number 2. And this is following the, spoiler alert, if you haven't read any of the Ultimate books, the assassination of the Scarlet Witch in the Ultimate Universe. This is where Magneto basically, if you remember, we talked about this event during the Mr. Fantastic lore. He disrupts the magnetic field of the whole Earth because she dies, and he kind of goes mad. In doing so, he goes to the X-Mansion, sneaks in, and snaps Charles Xavier's neck. And the panels, if you go to the issue and look at when he actually does it, you just see the craze and the desperation in his eyes as like a father and someone who has just like had it. And he says, I knew when I came here tonight, this was inevitable. So not only is he a threat to the world, but he turns on one of his true friends, Charles Xavier. I could keep going about comics. I know that is a lot to throw at you, but hopefully you found some that sound interesting to you. If not, hop in anywhere that you want with Magneto. Such rich storytelling from one of my favorite characters in Marvel history. I hope that you have a great week, and I hope that you are reading something that makes you smile. Until we talk again, we'll see you.
All right. Well, there you go. Big lore dump from Matt.
Massive, actually.
Woo!
Feels so much better.
It's crazy though, man. Like, I never knew till then that Magneto's name was different than
I didn't either.
Like, that was something new that I learned from that. Two series he mentioned there. Number one, The Age of Apocalypse. I remember that coming out like that summer and just thinking that was one of the coolest things. I probably still have a bunch of the issues from a couple of those runs. And like Wolverine was missing his hand, I remember, and he kind of was like almost like this feral. He almost was like a mix between Wolverine and Sabretooth, and he just, I don't know, it was just very, very cool run of that. But then the X-Men 25 book where Wolverine's skeleton, adamantium, gets pulled out, is epic, dude. Like, that was such a big deal at the time, because I don't think we ever really knew until then that Wolverine's claws were actually like part of his body, like that they were bone. Because then after that, he just had bone claws moving forward for a while till he got the adamantium back.
Oh, really?
I think that would be a sick ass skin in the game. Is like Wolverine with bone
Bone
claws instead of the
they
adamantium.
have to do it. Yeah, give me like
amazing.
old man Logan with the.
Oh, dude, that would be
that'd
great.
be amazing. I have not read anything that he said, and so I was taking some notes. The X-Men 25 for sure. Did you guys watch X-Men 97?
Yes. Yep.
So that was like, I knew that was a huge moment. Like I've known about that moment, but I didn't know where it was like in comics. And so now I have that pulled up. And also he mentioned the Magneto Testament. Sounds incredibly interesting, and the art for this is just very, very unique for a Marvel comic. It looks super cool, and it's like like Magneto's a child, it looks like. So really interested in that.
Yeah, Testament, I actually read that this week.
Oh, really? How is it?
It's very real. There is, I know it was a collected edition or something that they have on Marvel Unlimited, but I read it. It's the authors wanted to do something to help combat Holocaust deniers, so they wanted to make it as like real with noted dates and actual things that happen. So it's very, very hardcore. Much not fantastical, very much serious. And
I can tell by the cover. Like, you look at the cover and you're like, this is different. This is not
like very sad. Very sad stuff. Like Matt talking about some of that stuff there, I'm like, I need to start crying here. Wow. It's just so, it's very good read. I enjoyed it. And they actually had some bonus stuff at the end about one of the people who were at Auschwitz, and she was like kind of an artist, and they told her story, and she was forced to do portraits of some people there, and the museum that they have in Poland wouldn't give her original art pieces back and all this stuff. So there was a lot of people online trying to convince them to give her art back. I didn't follow up. This was 13 years ago or whatever it was, or even more. So I don't know if she ever got her art back, but they had a nice little story in there too. And good read for sure.
I mean, Magneto is one of those characters in the books that, like, when you go back to his like first appearance or first couple appearances, he's like a very hokey, just like kind of classic Marvel villain, right? There's nothing really complex, or I don't know, there's no depth to that character. But then as the years have gone on, and I think really once like Chris Claremont like took over the Uncanny book, that's when they really started making this character way more than what he originally was. And I would almost say he's probably one of the first villains to truly have kind of that complexity where you almost understand why their motivations are the way they are. Kind of like what almost every MCU movie has been doing.
Right.
Like,
not just twirly mustache villain.
Exactly. Yeah. Which he really was that originally. Like, that was the original Magneto in the books. But then as it goes on, it's like, you kind of get it. Here's this guy who's like went through terrible things, and then gets to the point where he feels it's happening again. Like, he feels like, the mutants are the ones that are destined to take over the world, and they're the ones that are being persecuted, even though they're the ones who truly have all the power and can decimate all of humanity in an instant. And I don't know. He's just one of those characters that I think many people gravitate to his stories, because there's so much that can be done with it, and so much more here moving forward that I'm sure they're going to do. I mean, the whole Krakoa and everything that happened with that. And I mean, Matt even mentioned the new X-Men, the yellow and black suits, that whole storyline with him. And I don't know. He's such an awesome character. And I mean, he's been portrayed very well in almost every media, all the movies, he's been fantastic in. I mean, you mentioned X-Men 97. That second episode, I'm pretty sure, is the one where he goes to the government. And I mean, I was on the edge of my seat and had goosebumps.
97 is so good.
It is awesome. Like
this year, even I, in preparation for Deadpool 3 or Deadpool and Wolverine, I watched, starting with X-Men, the Fox movie. I watched every single X-Men or Deadpool movie, like all together, including Origins, which is pretty rough. But it was like, I remember some of them being rough, but I was like, especially some of the newer ones, but I enjoyed almost all of them. Like even like that First Class is so freaking good. I love X-Men First Class. I like I don't know, just seeing the different versions of Magneto was super cool.
Yeah, First Class, recommendation for me, just look up First Class Magneto bar scene. It's when he meets some old Nazis in a bar. Very good. It's like 3 minutes of just like a fantastic movie clip. I don't think I've seen the whole movie, but that came up and I've seen that. I just watched it again today, actually, and it's just amazing. But I'd like to go through and watch those movies. The whole X-Men 97 cartoon, like that was a lot of my first experience with those events, but not just the Wolverine thing, but a lot of some of those major events that Matt talked about are in that cartoon, which was pretty cool. Like you change the magnetic poles on the earth and some of the other stuff, like he's in a coma too, right? That happened in there, and going through, and it's all just great. I also started reading, there's a new Magneto, I don't know if it's still going or not, but there's about 4 issues on Marvel Unlimited, started last year, I guess 2 years ago, so it must not be going anymore, but just called Magneto. And then the first episode, it's like recalling his first appearance in 63 X-Men, whatever that was. And it kind of puts a new spin on it where he's cool. Like, oh yes, I knew the X-Men could defeat me, but it was all part of my plan to have the humans realize that there can be good and bad mutants. So me being the evil side of mutants can show that there's the good side, so they know that not all mutants are bad and some can be trusted or something like that. So it kind of put a little spin on what happened there. I thought that was pretty cool.
Nice. Well, we got a message here from Joseph Trujillo, and he said, I want to thank you guys for making the show. It makes the game more immersive and adds a level of depth that not only to the game and the characters, but to the gaming experience itself. It's awesome hearing you guys go through the same trials and tribulations that I do as a solid bronze player. You guys are doing incredible. Keep it up. Well, Joseph, thank you for that. But he also had a message for Jarvis. He said, at Jarvis, also known as Matt, I'm very excited for the Adam Warlock skin in the Battle Pass and would really enjoy some good lore to go with it. So next week on the show, we're going to have some Adam Warlock lore here on the show. So look forward to that. Matt will be giving us a nice little lore dump on Adam Warlock. So get your reading in and be prepared for that. So, all right, dudes, let's move on here to our final segment, the part of the show where we get you, the listeners, involved that we call What Ifs. All right. Well, don't forget, you can always email us to rivalsassemblepod@gmail.com. You can find that in the show notes, or you could also always leave us a comment on our socials at rivalsassemble, or of course, leave us a message over on Spotify. Now, we got a pretty epic email here. It's kind of a long one, but I want to read through it because it's great. This one comes to us from Trick21. And he says, hey guys, I just started listening this past week and you guys have been incredibly impactful on my life, believe it or not. Haha. He's a 35-year-old male here, or he says 35-year-old male here with no kids, just for context. He says, I'm a huge Marvel fan and Overwatch back in the day when it first came out. So when it combined, I got immediately addicted. It's been a while since I played a video game this much. I ended last season in Diamond and am also currently Diamond. However, this came at the expense of my sleep, fitness, and my everyday life taking a hit. Someone then pointed out that I had 52 hours on Loki. I was like, WTF, wow. I was a little disgusted, honestly, and put my controllers into a timed lockbox for a week. He said, so this week I got my sleep back under control and I've been hitting the gym, doing well, but feeling that addictive itch until I ran into your podcast. Hearing you guys laugh, go through lore, made me realize how much fun you guys are having. There was one last thing y'all mentioned. You guys mentioned your silver and gold ranks. It made me realize that there are more important things to life than ranking up in competitive, especially since we're not going to be pro gamers. And one of those important things is having the ability to take a step back, relax, have fun, and get off the game when life calls for it. I'll be playing Rivals again today with this new mindset and hopefully better able to control. I'll probably lock it up again till next weekend just in case. Haha. I would love for you guys to talk about adulthood and what your mentality is playing the game like this for fun instead of just mindlessly grinding competitive. And if you have tips on stopping play instead of hitting one more round, that would be great. Thanks. So Trick, first of all, thank you for the email. The fact that you put your controllers in a timed lockbox, I think is fantastic, man. Do what you got to do to get yourself on track. But what do you guys think? I mean, I have my own thoughts, but I want to kind of hear what you guys think of this, of just playing the game more for the fun of it, which I would think is kind of our mindset. I mean, I think it comes across in the podcast, and I think I know your guys' answer to this, but I don't know. What do you guys think of just kind of his email overall?
Yeah. Okay. Great email. I loved it. And it really, I don't know. I just took me along for a ride with that. And, I guess at the end to answer first, I also have trouble with that one more round button. And it cuts into my sleep a little bit, but, I have been playing a little less since it first came out, but it's all about having fun for sure. Balance is very important, and you got to do what you need to do to make sure your life keeps going on, and this should just be part of your life that you would enjoy. And if you're stressing about things like that, obviously take a look and play it a little differently. One part about this game, and most games, what I like about video gaming as a hobby is talking about it with friends, right? So playing it with friends. I like multiplayer games for that. That's what gets me most excited to connect with other people with. And we play this together as a group after our show. We have a show, we talk about it. I just love it. And I've got some of my other friends to play with me too. So that's kind of like my number one favorite way to enjoy the game is just with friends, hanging out, playing whatever practice mode, or just quick match or verse AI. It's just a lot of fun, and I'm glad that we can help him enjoy the game.
Yeah. Ken, do you want me to go, or you want to?
No, I can go. I was just thinking that I read this email, and so for my career, I'm a psychotherapist, and so I talk to people every day about mental health and video games sometimes, and sometimes questions like this come up about what to do in situations. So I was like, man, what type of like psychological bomb can I bring this podcast to drop as advice for this person? And I was like, it's really not that complicated. Like, it boils down to just do what makes you happy. Like if you're playing a game and you find yourself at the end of the day feeling more frustrated than happy, then maybe it's time to not play that anymore. I know that, like, for me, as like he mentions adulthood, I have two kids, and at the end of the day, kids go to bed, I've got maybe an hour or two, I hang out with my wife and she goes to bed, and maybe I have sometimes about 30 minutes to an hour to myself before I actually need to get to bed in order to get enough sleep to be ready for the next day. So not a lot of time. So I want to use that time to experience as much joy as I can. And sometimes I do get a lot of joy. I am a very competitive person, and I do get a lot of joy out of playing competitive. And in season 0, that's like all that I did. I never played quick play. I was just like only in competitive. And it was great. But this season, as I've played a bit more competitive, I have felt myself being like, man, that didn't feel great. That wasn't a good time. I don't like that. And so I've played quick play a lot more, and it ultimately just kind of boils down to like, whatever you're doing, with the limited time that you have to find joy, that's cool. It doesn't matter really what that is. And so if that's playing another game, then great. If this game ends up, leaving you frustrated, because, of whatever, then it's okay to put it down.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of always been my mindset, is like, for me, video games have always been about just the fun of it. And, I've never, like, with my old show, I did Guardian Radio, like, of course, a show about Destiny, like, people would come in and they would gripe and complain. And it was like, it was almost like that game became their identity. And like, I could just never really grasp onto that. Like, if you're not having fun with it, like, why are you even wasting your time with it? Like, go play something else. It's kind of where I kind of always was. And it's kind of echoing what you said, Ken, is like, go do what makes you happy, makes you have fun. So, in the moment, if competitive is where you're happy, stick there. But when, like, for me, when I start to play, and this is probably why I'm still bronze 2 right now, is like, I want to hit gold, but I have that one competitive match and things go great and I'm happy and I'm like, yeah. And then I play that second match and I'm like, the team sucks, nobody's switching. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm just going to go play quick play because I'm going to go have fun. Because you know what? I just want to play Venom. Like this week, I said at the top of the show, I played a lot of Venom. And you know why? I won some games, I lost some games, but I was just having fun playing Venom. Like, whether we were winning or losing, I was just swinging in, smashing down on the ground, throwing out the tendrils, even like the little, when you're in the room before you start the match, just climbing up on the wall and kind of sitting there and looking down at my teammates and, pinging at them and they're pinging at me and I smash on the ground, putting up a spray, just doing dumb shit like that. Like, that to me is just fun. Like, I'm here just having fun with this video game. Like, that is what it's about. So that's, what I would say is, from my experience, just with kind of just all games in general, is like, if you're not having fun, like, just go do something else, and in this case for, Trick 21, for his mindset, like, it seems like he got to that point where, like, the game wasn't fun anymore and his priorities became his fitness. Like, when you start to see your fitness going down, when you start to see things in your life that are important to you, and this thing that I guess is almost like a false importance maybe that the video game was starting to take, like, you need to take a step back every once in a while. And I'm glad you did that, Trick, because you did it, you recognized it, and were able to move on. And I think some people just kind of lose sight of that sometimes. And, for me personally, being a father as well, I mean, I had young kids back when I was doing Guardian Radio. Like, I think back to some of those times, and I mean, I've learned some things, because there were times even then where I was even getting kind of caught up with that. Like, oh God, the new Destiny raid's coming out and I have to beat the raid because I do a podcast about the show. And, for some reason, like, back then that seemed serious, but every once in a while I had to take that step back and be like, no, the importance is being with my family, being with my kids, doing that, because the game will always be there, right? There's no, I don't know. It's just, you can see where video games can become incredibly addictive for some people. And, I hope anybody out there that's listening to this, hopefully you're having fun with our conversation. And if we can just, I guess maybe put that little bug in your ear that, sometimes you got to take a step back and just look at the fun of this.
Yeah, it's ones and zeros, man. It's not that serious.
Yeah.
It's just a good time.
Yeah. And I love the fact that our show can just, like, make it that much better for people too to have fun, because yeah, maybe you got to step away, but you take us with you. We're talking about the game. You're having fun still. Just
we'll be your proxy whenever you need to take a break.
That's right. We're here for you. I promise. So, Trick 21, man, thanks for that email. It was great. When we got this email, I was like, this is a great email.
We need to read Matt's response in the chat here. He says, at the end of the day, the game experience is all about having fun with friends. I realize that I'm not having fun if I'm not having fun, it's not worth my time. The guys here know that I get tilted easily, but I'm not good enough to warrant that. I want to protect my peace and my love for the characters. I'll never be diamond, but I'm okay with that.
Yep.
Yeah. I think it's huge for Trick 21 to realize that it was impacting his life, because I'm sure there's a lot of people that don't realize it. And kind of the sad part is too, the developers are doing their best to make a great addictive game to make you keep wanting to play.
Yeah.
So then you're
money.
pouring money into it, right? Like it's their job to make things addictive. Like that's all they care about from you is that you're playing the game. They don't care if what it's at the expense of. So I think it's huge that, you know, he's doing the things that he needs to do to make it healthy for him to enjoy. And yeah, that he can still enjoying it. And yeah, it's
well, you know what's even hard
balance, right?
too, I mean, nowadays it's a lot harder, is like you play the game and then you go on Twitter and you like maybe just search rivals, and then suddenly your algorithm becomes rivals,
Yeah.
and you literally you can't get away from it, and you see it all the time. And so like that in itself, I think it adds to that, I don't want to say anxiety of feeling like you need to rise to the top and all that, but you know, when you're constantly being inundated with your social media feeds or your YouTube, suddenly all your YouTube videos are Marvel Rivals videos. So it just becomes this all-encompassing thing. So I could see where it's hard, you know, to
What's comparison too? You know, it's fear of missing out, and comparison being the thief of joy. You know, so it's like if you're constantly seeing like these incredible plays on Twitter and TikTok or whatever, and it's like, oh, I reached like, you know, with top rank and it was great, and it's like, oh man, that would feel cool.
Yeah.
But you know, a lot of those feelings are only temporary anyway.
Right.
Yeah, I think the pull of, oh, I need to get my rank higher, right? Like being good at things is huge for motivation. And I know I feel good after I've, you know, done some research and I got a little better with the character and stuff like that. And that's what kind of motivates me to try competitive. Well, outside of getting gold for that costume.
I mean, dude, that's it for me.
I'm pushing
like
for,
literally,
right?
that's the only incentive for me, is like I just need to get the skin. Because other than that, I'm never gonna get the nameplate. I'm never gonna get any of that. I maybe grind out and maybe get there. I mean maybe, but I don't really care to. It's the skin. That's all I want is the skin. I don't want to miss out on that. And I think I'm good enough. I mean, I was last season, and I'm sure I still am now. I just gotta buckle down and do it. Is really what it is. Let's see. So again, Trick, thanks for that email. We got another message here. This one came to us on Spotify from King Logan 1995. And he said, I have a question for you guys. I was wondering if you could tell us what characters you have on Lord level, or maybe I can do a segment of or you can do a segment on what are the easiest characters to get Lord with and the hardest ones. So
it's so funny that this is the next question.
Yeah. Number one, I don't have any Lord. And you know what? Part of that though, and Logan, I say this as part of it is, for me, a lot of my fun in the game is just kind of playing all the characters. Like I go through, like this week was I played a lot of Venom this week. Next week, who knows? It could end up being like I jump around between all the characters. I like to be just kind of a jack of all trades. I never really focus on one per se. I mean, I do have characters like I mentioned Season 0. I played Cloak and Dagger almost exclusively in comp. But that was just because I was best with them and I knew that would get me up the ranks. But if I'm just playing just to have fun, I'm playing everybody. Like it's whoever I want to play. I'm not even always insta-locking. Sometimes I just go in, okay, we need a Vanguard. What Vanguard do I want to play? Okay, I'll play Venom. That's kind of where it started this week. And then I was like, oh, I'm just going to play Venom this week. So I don't have anybody on Lord right now because I was kind of looking today to see. I don't even have a second character. What do you need for that achievement? It's like 2 captain level characters, I think is what it is, to get the, I don't know. There's an achievement in game that you get that.
I don't have anyone. I don't have a single one at captain.
I have
close.
Cloak and Dagger are. And then I think it was Captain America for a while, but now my second, I forget who it is, but like, I don't know. But I don't have any Lord characters.
I'm close to captain with Strange and Thor.
I was gonna say, I figured you'd have Thor.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm like you. I actually probably this season I probably played a lot more Doctor Strange than Thor because I've been in a lot of situations where no one wants to tank, like no one. And so it's like, well, I'm not gonna main tank a game just with Thor, so I try to play someone a bit. So I end up playing a lot of Strange, but yeah, you know, it's I play the same way of like I don't usually, sometimes I'll insta lock and quick play because I'm like, man, I really want to play this character, and then I'll like get in there and I'll have someone like, for example, Scarlet Witch and Adam Warlock this week, characters I don't ever play. You know, I was insta locking them in quick play because I had that idea in mind. But a lot of times I go in and I just fill, you know, and it's like, okay, what's needed? Okay, cool. And then like, what's the other person want to do? Okay, cool. And now I'll fill in the role. And that's kind of a good way to just kind of learn and adapt. But the result of that is that I've got a ton of characters, like 30 minutes to 2 hours played, like it's not, I'm not like, it's not like grinding out any specific
And
one.
just for context, for people that have never really dipped into this part of the game, if you go under your stats, I think, or under heroes, you'll see proficiency. And so each character has almost like, I don't want to say they're achievements for the characters, but there is a little progress bar. And it'll be like, play a character. Every time you play a character for 60 minutes, you get like, 15 or 20 of these points. And then it's like, get X amount of kills with, let's say, their ultimate, or, block X amount of damage with the shield. And as it's just this constant rolling things. You're constantly getting these points, and then you're unlocking the different, little character nameplate skins.
Like Neil said, it's mastery in other games.
Yeah. So it's kind of these mastery things.
Thank you for doing that, because I wasn't sure what Lord was. I know that. So is there 3 levels? Is it like Captain?
There's like
Knight
5.
and Lord?
Yeah.
There's
the
5.
last one, I think with Lord, you get the MVP icon. So like if you ever notice on the character screen, sometimes you'll see on the bottom someone will have like just a different looking thing. It's actually a picture from the MVP screen, like the default MVP screen. They just kind of like snip that out and put that in there.
Oh. Okay.
So
it's just different things you get. All right. And I didn't realize, like, I've seen that before, and I think I have a few characters on whatever the first level is, where you get their sprays.
The circle spray, yeah. So that's kind of the easiest one you get.
Yeah. So I have a few on that. I like you guys, I fill a lot, and I was just kind of looking at my most played, and yeah, it's kind of all over the place. I think my closest would be Penny Parker. I play her a lot because it usually goes well for me, but I think I'm just level 1 with the spray.
Gotcha.
So, and you just explaining that too, that it's every 60 minutes you get points to go towards it. Right. I thought it was like a checklist of, okay, play 60 minutes and then do this and then do this, and then you go into the next one. Oh, okay.
It's like, these are the 4 or 5 things you want to do on that character. So, I mean, you could literally just not do anything and just play that character for 100 hours or whatever it is, and you'll just get Lord. Like, you can just get that. It's just, but you can speed it up doing
it's faster if you do more than one thing.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
So it's not now, like which is the easiest and the hardest? Like, honestly, I mean, again, you can just play those characters. I guess you would have to kind of look at, and I've never really looked at every single character to see, but I would think if you're playing whatever character you're best with, or you feel comfortable with their kits, would probably be the one that, of course, would be the easiest for you. Because there's some characters that I'm just good with that maybe Ken's isn't good with, like I was terrible at Thor because I didn't understand Thor's kit. So like there was no chance for me to get there. But now that I kind of get it, I think it would be a little bit easier for me. I mean, if anybody, I would think maybe Black Widow or Hawkeye, maybe, because you're more kind of pinpointing those shots. Because I would assume that their little things you got to kind of check off are more about hitting those shots. But again, if you're good with that, someone that plays on the PC that is just nailing all those shots, it's going to be easy for them. So
I'd have to look and see what those things are, but I think maybe a Vanguard or a strategist would be easy, because it's like heal your team this much, right? And it's less about getting KOs or last hits if you were a duelist, or with a Vanguard it would be block X damage, like you said, with the shield. So it's always pretty easy to get shot at. Let me tell you,
it's staying alive that isn't always. You got to make sure you have a strategist with you that's going to help you.
I get soak damage.
Just keep me alive, please. Just heal me. Let's see. This next one comes to us from Justin O'Shaughnessy. I guess that's how you say that. He said, so I discovered this tracker.gg website that basically tracks and gives you all of your advanced stats for your playing rivals, and it hurt my feelings. He said, it keeps track of pretty much everything stat-wise, but the big stat that, quote-unquote, offended him was his KDA rating. He said, I never even heard of a KDA stat before, but apparently I'm in the bottom 2% of the player base with the stat, and now I'm just sad. He said, I just reached gold 3, and my win percentage is like 60%. How much weight should I put in KDA? Justin, I will tell you, 0, my friend. If you're winning 60% of your matches, you're in gold 3, you got the skin, you're winning more than half your matches, who cares? That's what I say, man. Like, yeah. I mean, KDA is what? It's kills, deaths, and your assists.
Assists.
I mean, most
average,
like Call of Duty, Halo was always just your KD because they generally don't track your assists. I mean,
sorry, what's a good number for this?
I don't know. Mine is 2.28. So
I mean, when you're throwing in the assists, I don't know what makes like a good stat. I mean, obviously, the higher the number,
I don't know how
better.
what
But
the percentages, but I have a 60% win rate. That's pretty cool.
But I mean,
that's my last 25 matches.
Wouldn't it depend on like what you're playing too? Like, I mean, if you're playing a strategist, and let's say like you can go back to some of my Cloak and Dagger matches I had last season, and maybe I'd have like 5 kills, let's say 5 or 6 deaths, and then like 28 assists. Like, what is that number gonna equate to? Where if I'm playing a duelist, my number should be like 20 some odd kills. You would want 20 some odd kills, 5 or 6 deaths, whatever, and then your assist would be low. So I don't really know kind of how that all
is. It
plays,
kills plus assists divided by deaths, maybe. So I think the biggest thing about this is stay with your team and don't get knocked out. That'll help your number, and so that's a good thing to see, because the least amount you're down for the game, the more time you're up and doing something helpful.
Right.
In terms of the other numbers, I don't think that's as important as, at least being there for your team.
Yeah. I mean, I would almost say, and I mean, quote, I could be totally wrong with this. I mean, this is a hero shooter, but like, I think your KDA would matter more in a true MOBA than it does in this, because your downtime in this, sure, you're down. Teams can get a push, especially if you're a strategist or a vanguard, and really kind of making that difference to keep your team alive. But in a MOBA, when you die, you're basically giving the other team that advantage because they're able to level. Right. The XP, and they're just able to spend more time in the field killing mobs and leveling up. So in a hero shooter, that's not even an issue at all. So, like, that's where I was always more familiar with KDA, was a game like Paragon or playing League or Dota. Like, that's where it matters a little bit more.
Or game modes like Doom. Wait, what's it called? The Sanctum? Doom match?
Doom match.
Where the way you win is get knockouts.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Here it's push the cart. You either win or lose.
Yep. So it also, like in this case, it almost matters where do you die too. Like if you die, right when you're almost hitting it, then you have that long walk back. Or if you're dying and the room is right next to you, you're down for 5 seconds, you're back. So, like I said, I would tell you, hey, you're winning 60% of your matches. Don't even look at that 2%. Just be in the bottom 2%. And also tracker.gg, very cool site. I mean, they have all the other games. I mean, there's so many different games out there. That site's been around for a long time. They've added rivals to it. I think going into season 1, it might have even been there for season 0. So you can go in there, check out all your stats, check out your friends' stats, unless, some people hide their stats. Yeah, some people do that sometimes. I don't know. You can't look at them. Anyways, moving on here. Venompool0001 said, I just wanted your thoughts on why they haven't put Deadpool in the game yet, as they dropped the movie skin for Wolverine. Sorry, I'm a huge Deadpool fan, and after reading so much about him, I don't understand it. Also, what do you think his abilities would be like? Well, I think we can almost guarantee that Deadpool's coming, right? Because, I mean, I bought the Wolverine skin, and they have half the heart, and it's the Wolverine face, and we're just waiting for that Deadpool to kind of finish that spray. But what do you think? Nice. I mean, his kit, I think he'd have swords and guns, maybe? He could switch between the two?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Right?
I don't
short
know.
range guns?
Yeah. I don't know how you kill him either. Or he has to have some type of
like a cocoon
death mechanic, or something like
Wolverine, that. Right? I mean, Wolverine dies. He can die.
That's true. He does die in the game, so it's not much different. But yeah, I don't know. He'd be probably a mid-range, a good like mid-range duelist.
Yeah. Would you think he would be more melee, or will he be more?
He's always got his sticks or whatever, right? Like he's got like batons.
2 swords, man.
Swords. There you go.
Swords out, slashing.
Yeah, I think so. I'm interested to see what his team up with Wolverine will be. Maybe they just like hold hands and like spin around or whatever, or maybe
awesome,
from the movie. They had some cool team ups in that movie too, right?
The fight inside the Honda Odyssey is the greatest thing ever.
I know in the the comics that Wolverine makes a lot of jokes about Spider-Man, and just kind of like looking like Spider-Man. And so it'd be cool if he was just basically Spider-Man, if he was like a dive duelist, and he would just dive in. It'd be like Genji, like he's got the swords, but also like he could have some range. So that might be cool.
Yeah.
I can't wait to hear too, like his voice lines and all that. It's just going to be ridiculous. The stuff that he's saying out there. It's probably going to be great. I wish he could, I don't know, hack off his arm and then he like swings his arm around, like holding the sword, and he's just kind of like whapping you with
little baby arm. It goes little baby arm.
That would be awesome. Let's see. We got another one here. This one comes to us from Mark Asbury, and he said, "Hey guys, I wanted to ask this week, do you think we could possibly get ultimate skins like the ones in Smite and League where they're a bit more pricey, but they have unique voices and special abilities? For example, DJ Sonya from League had music and her abilities would change the music and your team could actually listen to it also. He said, I would love to see something like that for Luna Snow.
Ooh.
I don't know. Does she play different music? The new skin that's out? I don't know. That might be the case. I mean, she looks like she's a DJ from 2099. They may be doing that.
Like they do have rarities, right? And they go up to epic or legendary, maybe. I believe I bought a League skin. I don't know if it was epic or not, but it was Hecarim, whatever the horse guy was, and he was like digitized, like a part of a video game kind of thing. It was awesome. I don't think I had this DJ Sona, but I also played a lot of her. Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. This sounds awesome.
Yeah, I mean, they are already doing like the skins, like the Thor skin has the guitar riff. Right?
Yes.
And then even the Space Knight, or the Space Knight Venom has like a little bit of, his voice is a little bit more digitized. It's still the same voice, but you can tell there's something different about it. So they are already doing things like that, but I think unique voice lines would be cool if they did that, especially if it was like lines from the movies, even though it's, not the actual actor from the movie. If they at least had the voice actor for the game saying some of that stuff, I think would be pretty cool.
I would love that they're not going to do is for something like this, like just a very unique skin to be only accessible for those that have gotten to Lord rank. It's like get to the, it's like you see someone with a skin like that's able to kind of like change, stuff in the game. And you're like, wow, that like they know they're legit. They legit know how to play this character.
Mm-hmm.
I would love some type of skin like that for being able to like achieve, a high mastery with a hero. But something like this, they're going to spend this much time to make it. They're going to make you pay for it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. Let's see. We got one more. This one comes to us from James Garrett, and he says, I appreciate the podcast. I like the pace of it. What about having guests? Or do you guys offer advice for people to rank up, just like a 10-minute segment? He said there's a vacuum for that podcast-wise. So a couple things. One, I don't know if you want any advice from us to help rank up.
I think we've given all we know to
that ain't us. But in all seriousness, though, who would you guys want to hear on the show? So he mentions guests. Let us know who you would want to hear on the show, because we can reach out to some of these folks, see if we can get them here on the podcast. So let us know. Either email, send it over on Spotify. Let us know who you want to hear on the show. Maybe we can get some guests here to come on here in the coming weeks, months, and all that. As we move forward. Now, I also want to throw out to you guys, we haven't actually really talked too much about this here on the show, but we have been talking about getting a Patreon going here for the podcast and introducing like a Discord and that. But we want to ask you, what would you want us to offer you within that Patreon? So obviously there'll be more episodes of the podcast, but would you like things like maybe breakdowns of previous Marvel games. So, episodes on, maybe old 8-bit, 16-bit, even Marvel's Spider-Man games like that. Have episodes on each of those. Maybe episodes on some of the MCU movies or kind of a whole MCU rewatch. Comics, more in-depth comic chat.
Book club.
Like a book club. Let us know your thoughts, because it's something we're definitely thinking about. I know we've had some people asking us like, hey, you want to help support the show? And so we think that would be a great way is to, put out a Patreon for that. And that might offer you guys more content from us that we could offer you rather than just our weekly musings here as we talk to you guys every week. So, let us know. Email us at rivalsassemblepod@gmail.com, or, of course, hit us up on Spotify. We would love to know. So what do you guys got? Anything here at the end you guys want to throw out here? Moving into, we're getting close, right? But this is, what do we got? Like maybe 2 weeks, week and a half?
I was wondering that when the second half of the season is going to start.
I'm ready. Yeah, it's like, it's not winding down, but it's like, I've done a lot of what's there. I'm ready for kind of for part 2. Let's bring it on.
I unlocked Johnny Storm and the Thing nameplates in the battle pass, so I think I'm right around where they expect me to be. And
I'm very excited for both of them.
Yep, the movie trailer came out this week for the new Fantastic Four movie.
Oh my god, yeah.
I'm even more excited.
So good, dude. When I saw that, I was like, oh, I just want to play things.
It's so planned. Like it's perfectly timed.
Yeah. Also, by the way, I mentioned it at the end of last week's show. Have you guys watched Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man yet? Your Friendly Neighborhood?
Yes, I did watch it.
Are you caught up? All 5 episodes?
Yes. 5.
Dude, they released 3 this week. So they put out 2 last week, 3 this week. Yeah.
I watched 2 from last week and I loved it. I thought it was great.
Catch up, man. There's some good stuff.
I was so into it. I'm very like it's got the weird perception. Like either you like it or you don't. And I don't really understand why, because it's a cool new Spider-Man story. So and it's got some different, it's the same and different all at the same time. And it's animated. Animation's great. Like there's really not a lot I don't like about it.
They show a character here in episode 5. It's funny. You mentioned how things are different. And there are. Many of the characters are very different than anything we've seen. It's cool. But there's in episode 5, I say introduce him as character. Everybody knows who it is. But when you see this character, he is literally like the epitome of this character that you know from like the 60s. And it's like every other character is so drastically different, but this guy is like straight up, this is how you picture him. Same color, same stupid haircut, everything. He's just exactly what he is from the comics, and I love every minute of it. It's great. So watch that show if you guys haven't yet. I couldn't recommend it more. Free to go watch it.
Nice.
But yeah, hopefully soon, man. I'm thinking I think this is 4 weeks now into the season. The fact that the event is ending tomorrow.
That's how you know.
That's how you know, right? We got to be. So hopefully within the next week. I'm almost expecting we may get some sort of reveal or something this upcoming week. So next week, hopefully we'll be talking about some more good stuff for what's coming here after through the season. But we'll see. We will see. So again, guys, remember, head on over to Spotify. Obviously, you can catch the podcast over there, but take part in our poll. So if you click on the episode over on Spotify, we're asking you, what is the best domination map in the game right now? So you have Eastgard, the Royal Palace, the Intergalactic Empire of Wakanda with the Burn in T'Challa map, or the Hydra Charteris Base Hell's Heaven. So go vote over there. And while you're there, of course, leave us a comment. Review the podcast on there too, or if you're listening on iTunes, go ahead and leave us a review over there. We love reading those. And of course, big thanks to everybody over on Twitch and YouTube for joining us here. Great conversations happening in the chat. We love you guys over there. And if you want to catch those, you can catch them in the recorded portions on those websites as well. So again, at Rivals Assemble Pod there. And until next week, everybody, we'll have a good week in Rivals. Get out there and just have some fun in the game. So that's what this game is for, man. It's awesome. So until next time, we'll catch you later.
Peace.